everybody hates word problems. But in mathematics, that's how the problems appear. They're going to appear as word problems, okay? You're not going to have some inequality fall out of the sky, boom, and the equation's set up. It doesn't happen like that. There are going to be some problems, and you're going to have to figure out what things mean and translate some words into, in this case, inequalities. Now, you can always solve these inequalities without using algebra. What kind of class are you in? Intermediate algebra. So, when you do these problems, now this is one time where I'm not letting you drive any way to the school. You're going to have to follow the prescribed method that I tell you to get here, okay? When you do word problems in this class, even if you can do it by counting on your fingers and toes, I want to see either an equation, if it's an equation, or an inequality, if it's an inequality, set up with variables, okay? All right, now, there's some things that you need to do when you do a word problem. Now, people get offended when I say this, but you know why most people can't do word problems? They don't read. Reading is what?
Fundamental.
Fundamental. Reading is fundamental. I know, but I'm on tape. I can't say that. All right. All right. So reading is fundamental. So when we're doing word problems, the first thing you want to do is familiarize yourself with the problem. Okay? You want to familiarize yourself with the problem. You want to make sure, now we used to say this in real estate, it is not PC, so I'm giving you the primer for this now. They used to always say when I was in real estate, find the dumbest salesperson in your office and explain the concept to him. And if he can understand it, then you understand it and you can explain it. Okay, so when you're reading word problems, the first thing you do, you don't start looking for the variables. I mean, because that's one of the things, you guys are so caught up on trying to do the math that you just don't try to understand what they're asking. So when we do our examples in here today, I'm not asking you what is X first. I'm asking you, you got a little nephew who's 9 years old and you have a problem. How do you explain what this question is asking so that he can understand, okay? And so the first thing that you always need to do when you're doing a word problem is try to understand what is it asking me. Not what's the X, what's the equation, but what is it asking me. You can get to what the variables are in the next minute. So that's part of your familiarize. In that concept of familiarize, you may want to make a drawing. Sometimes a drawing will help something make sense. I know y'all believe I'm a math genius, close but not really. But whenever I have to read the problem a couple of times, like, what is it saying? Sometimes a little picture will help. Then this is key. I learned this from little kids. You write down the known facts and the unknown facts. Now you may not use everything, but write down what you got. You know, I got this and this and this. Now little kids, which I thought was interesting, what they do, how they teach little kids, like K through 8, to do word problems, or as they call them, story problems, they underline any important stuff. I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Underline, apparently if you can write on it, underline the important stuff. Underline the important stuff. And then as we do that, we will talk about assigning a variable, okay? All right, this is the same, we did word problems last semester, so this is the same formula if you have those notes. Okay, you also may want to use a chart. Now, you're lucky, you won't, at least on the test, if it's a formula you're not familiar with, we'll give it to you. But sometimes a problem will ask you for the area of a triangle and you forgot the area of a triangle. So sometimes you may have to consult something else. Now, this is important. Now, let's go back to getting to BCCC. Remember I said you came up Hilton Parkway, you came up 83, and you trying to come up Monroe Street. There's always one trying to do it off the, you know. All right, now, so you've never been to BCCC before, and you know that BCCC is a college, and you're from Lexington, North Carolina, and you coming up here to meet with one of the advisors to see if you want to come to school here, okay? And you don't know much, and your GPS went out somewhere once you hit Baltimore. So your GPS is whacked, and somehow you were looking at somebody, one of our more colorful people in Baltimore, and got twisted up and made the wrong turn, and you are somewhere in Baltimore, but you don't know where. Now, if you end up at Mondawmin Mall, are you at BCCC?
No.
How do you know that you're not at BCCC?
Because you're at Mondawmin.
It's a mall.
It's a mall, not a school. Now, I know y'all thinking, what in the world is she talking about? How does that relate to this? One of the things that you always want to do. Now, you don't know when you're at Mondawmin where BCC is, but you know you ain't there. Because you are expecting something to say BCCC, Baltimore Community College, not Mondawmin Mall. You ain't looking for, you weren't expecting to see Shoppers and Target. You were looking for the library and the cafeteria. And you ain't seeing none of that. So you don't know where you are, but you know you ain't where you're supposed to be. Okay? In life, that is sometimes a very important thing. That you know you ain't right, but you know you are certainly not where you're supposed. You know that it's not what you're supposed to be. You cannot figure out what's supposed to be looks like, but you know that ain't it. Okay? Now in mathematics, what happens, you need to guesstimate. This is how I saved a lot of money when I used to shop at Super Fresh. I didn't have my calculator going down the aisles, but I was constantly guesstimating the price. And if that price wasn't in a certain range, I knew that they hadn't given me the discount on something they had for sale that they didn't change in the computer. The point is that you always kind of need to know or have some idea of what you're doing, so when you get something that looks really odd, you know you ain't right. Okay? Because if you were going to the school and ended up at the mall, you know you ain't at the school. If you, from the beginning, have a guesstimate that our answer should be in this range, or using something from the MEQ example, if I'm balancing my checkbook, I know I haven't written many checks, and I had $1,000 deposited, and my balance is now negative, but I didn't write any checks, you know something is wrong. You don't know what's wrong, but you know something is wrong. So you always want to kind of, before you even start solving the problem, have kind of a guesstimate. Because we want to know, that doesn't help us maybe tell us what the right answer is, but you want to know when you're wrong so you can regroup. Okay? Make sense? So always come up with an estimate. Then finally, now we get really into the work. We need to translate what we've read into something mathematical. If we have something that is unknown, what do we call unknowns? X, or some variable. Because we don't know, so it's X. If we know it, we can write it down, okay? So we translate. Now, what kind of class is this again? Intermediate algebra. What have we done in algebra for one semester, and what do we think we're going to do this semester? What have we done?
Solve problems.
Solve. So once you set up an equation or an inequality, you're going to do what?
Solve.
Solve. How do we know we're solving something?
Is that equal sign?
Or that's if it's in a
inequality.
Or inequality. So when we're solving, what have we done with this inequality or a linear equation? What have we done? How did we solve those?
Did a problem.
Duh.
We isolated
we isolated what?
the variables.
Okay, you're getting the variables by themselves. Okay, so you translate it. Then you got isolated. Was that part of problem number 3 you're going to solve? And then it becomes important checking it. Okay, checking it to make sure that it makes sense. Okay? Because if we're doing measurements and you're trying to figure out what's the largest amount of carpet you can buy for your jacked up budget, and if it says the area you can buy is -10, what do you know?
A measurement can't be negative.
A measurement can't be negative, so you know that that solution ain't right. Okay? So you always want to check. Nobody wrote that down. Measurements are never going to be negative. I know that Whitney traveled a negative distance when she married Bobby, but that don't count. Okay? And then finally, now I let y'all slide with this, that you're going to state the state the solution based on my budget and the size of the floor. I can buy X amount of carpet. Okay, so you're stating. So again, there are really 5 parts to solving an equation. Let me just hit them again. It is familiarize. There's a lot of stuff with familiarize. But if you do that first, you save yourself a lot of hassle. You familiarize, you translate, you solve, you check, and then you state. All right? Wasn't that easy? Uh-huh. All right. Now, these are some little things that you should know that make life easier. Now they don't, I'm hiding. Don't look at it. Don't look at the screen. Don't look at that screen. All right, when I say at least, I'm going back. You probably cheated, so you can't answer because I can tell you've already lost. All right, if I say the word at least, what kind of inequality is that? So if I need at least 3 of y'all, what does that mean?
Less than 3 or less than equal to 3, right?
I need at least 3 of y'all to help me carry a big box in the math department. So how many of y'all do I need if I need at least 3 of y'all?
Up to 3.
3 or more.
3 or more!
3 or more.
I need at least. Let's think about money. You need at least.
Greater than or equal to.
Yeah, at least means, so at least means greater than or equal to. So what does at most mean? A man can handle at most 1 wife. What does that mean? That hurt you, didn't it? What does at most mean? Come on now.
More than 1 wife.
At most?
The most he could have, like, equal to or less than.
Okay, so how many wives can he have if he can have at most 1?
1. 1 or less.
1 or less?
Yeah.
Okay, so write that down, that your intuition, now many times intuition leads you on the right path, but sometimes it can lead you on the wrong path. So you need to make sure you understand how to translate at least and at most. Okay? You getting this down, baby? So at least means greater than, although it sounds like less, I understand, but it's not. Did you write that down? Okay. Make sure you start, because anything that is not intuitive, you need to start so that you will...
Can you repeat that again?
What do you want me to repeat?
What you said, at least.
At least means greater than or equal to. It sounds like it means less, but it really means greater than.
Okay.
And at most sounds like it should be greater, but it means less than or equal to. So y'all copy.